For the first time since mid-December, USL Super League action is back in Dallas, Texas at the historic Cotton Bowl Stadium. And it's the much-anticipated pro debut of Texas soccer prodigy Lexi Missimo, signed in late January. She'll debut tonight for Dallas Trinity FC. And Tampa Bay Sun FC, coming off of a huge draw, come from behind last week against Fort Lauderdale. Cecile Flo Nielsen scored the PK equalizer, and two of the top scoring teams in the league will do battle next. Dallas Trinity, Tampa Bay Sun, coming up. It is a picture-perfect night at historic Cotton Bowl Stadium in Dallas, Texas, as Dallas Trinity FC kicks off their spring slate at home against Tampa Bay Sun FC. Alongside former North Texas standout Haley Sutton, I'm Josh Appel. Thanks so much for being with us. And Haley, it was a great fall season for Dallas Trinity FC, 6-3-5. Currently sitting at second in the USL Super League standing. And
had a really hard time losing at home last season as well. Listen, Dallas really established themselves as one of the better teams in the league last year. They actually had a chance to go top of the table when that last game against Brooklyn, things didn't go their way, but obviously a very talented team when it comes to scoring the ball, Josh.
Let's take a deeper dive inside Dallas from the fall season, as you see one of the best scoring teams and best offensive teams across the league.
Yeah, we're going to dive into those goals in just a little bit. Maybe skewed from some of those results in the season, but listen, this is a team that likes to get inside of the box and punish you early and often. They are not afraid to take shots in front of net. They'll even challenge outside of the box, even though they haven't had a chance to convert just yet. So be afraid of this team from an attacking standpoint. 18
of their 20 goals scored have come from inside the box, and their leading scorer, tied for second most in the league, leading the way, it's Allie Thornton.
I love watching Allie Thornton play soccer. She's so clinical in the box, and what I love about her is she's relentless. When she gets the ball at her feet, her mission is to put it in the back of the net. She is physical, she has size, and she is currently chasing Addie McCain for the Golden Boot race. We'll talk more about that as well, but definitely a player for Tampa Bay to watch.
For Tampa Bay, they've already played once in this spring season, a makeup game from the fall, and it was a doozy in Tampa a week ago, falling behind 2-0, but clawing their way back.
Yeah,
I mean, clawing their way back to get the draw.
And it felt like we were in Fort Lauderdale for this one. I mean, my goodness, a couple of really great goals. But one thing about soccer, sometimes you got to take advantage of the opportunities you're given, and that's exactly what Denise Schulte-Brown's squad did. They took advantage at the penalty spot, and this is where the equalizer came from. Just a tough challenge there from Sid Nacello. And, of course, Flo Nielsen puts it away.
We mentioned Allie Thornton tied for second in the league in goals. Well, here's who she's tied with. It's Carly Gimona.
Yeah, get used to hearing her name a lot tonight. She is the offensive engine for this Tampa Bay squad. She moved into second place with Allie Thornton with 6 goals on the year, just one back from Addie McCain out in Fort Lauderdale. And oddly enough, she's got a dog named Shark at home that she loves training with, Josh. I feel like when you're training with a dog named Shark, you've got a little bit of that aggressive nature in you already.
Well, let's see if Tampa Bay can ride that aggressive style into a road victory tonight. A win pulls them even with Dallas in the standings, but through 2 meetings so far, they have not been able to figure out Dallas Trinity. Kickoff from Cotton Bowl is coming up next.
This is UT Southwestern Medical Center, and this is where a spark happens. This is the teamwork that fuels it, the mentors who shape it. And this is where it comes together, with this care team connecting the dots, all leading up to this moment right here at UT Southwestern, where discoveries change lives. And this spark is just the beginning. Follow your spark at UT Southwestern, the future of medicine today.
Move freely and feel the support with Compression Z leggings designed for ultimate comfort and recovery. Our premium compression wear helps relieve muscle soreness, promotes better circulation, and supports your every movement. Made with breathable, moisture-wicking fabric that stays odor-resistant and keeps you cool no matter how hard you push. Experience the difference with Compression Z. Use code TRINITY20 to get your 20% off at www.compressionz.com.
corner. Whoa! Save man by Opaisi.
I said what I said. I'd rather be famous instead. You're more than a superstar.
Getting set for kickoff at the Cotton Bowl from Dallas, Texas. Dallas Trinity FC, Tampa Bay Sun FC. Josh Appel, Haley Sutton with you as we take a look at our starting 11s for tonight. First for Dallas and head coach Pauline McDonald.
Yeah, rolling out the first lineup of the 2025 portion of the season. Pauline McDonald really likes that 3-5-2 formation. So look to her to use the wide channels with Brian and Ubagagu on the outside. She likes playing those balls into the box, and then they finish in that space.
See Lexi Missimo making her pro debut today as well in the starting 11. And for Denise Schulte-Brown and Tampa Bay Sun FC, here's how they will line up.
Yeah, kind of opposite of Dallas, right? It's still a 3-5-2, but Coach Brown told us that she's focused on just making sure this team controls possession. So look for them to use the middle portion of the field with Listro and Hawksdaughter feeding Giamoa and Flo up there up top.
You got to look at Carly Giamoa, tied for second in the league in goals. She is one of the engines that makes this Tampa Bay Sun team go as the coaches exchange pleasantries, as well as you get a look at Denise Schulte-Brown, someone who's been a staple in Tampa Bay soccer for a really long time. Longtime head coach at the University of South Florida, 2007 until 2023. And a lot of the talent on this team. 5 players she coached at USF, so a reunion here at the pro level.
It's always good as well to have that connection, especially in a new league, right? And it almost feels like this league isn't new anymore because we went through that fall slate, but still getting to know some of the familiar or the new faces, trying to make them familiar faces. Schulte-Brown kind of has the advantage there. She knows a lot of her roster very well from when they were really young. It's a good mix of veteran experience as well as some new faces on both of these squads.
Irina Petronik blows her whistle, gets us underway from the Cotton Bowl. Tampa Bay in the gold. Dallas in that burgundy color. Giamoa right away. We'll get things started for Tampa Bay. They're coming off the 2-2 draw against Fort Lauderdale last week, a makeup game from one that was rescheduled from the fall. Fell behind 2-0, as we told you in the open. A couple of PKs in the second half, including one in stoppage time. Earned that result for Tampa Bay. You can hear it's a relatively windy night here at the Cotton Bowl. Wind gets kind of contained in that stadium just the way that it's built, so we'll see how that affects certain things. But these teams, they get opportunities. They're able to at least create a chance, and these are 1 and 2 in Super League in shots on goal percentage, both above 50%, the only 2 teams in the league at that clip.
And these two teams kind of play different styles, right? Dallas is a team that really likes to get the ball out to their wide channels. They really like to stretch the field horizontally. I think Tampa Bay has a tendency to get sucked into the middle of the field. They really like controlling the possession. So a lot of 1-2 quick combination passes. It's going to be interesting to see those two conflicting styles and which one sort of gets the early edge in this one as we get into the first couple of minutes.
That one just out of the reach of Chioma Ubagagu. Those flags are going to get a workout today.
It's certainly interesting, right? We're in that time period of Texas, and as a native Texan, it's something I'm very familiar with, where you get false spring, right? Where in February, the sun starts coming out, and the 70s are there, and then the next day it's 30 degrees, and that's actually what's going to happen. There's a cold front coming through tomorrow, so it's going to feel way chillier tomorrow than it does today. But either way, it's something that you got to contend with. You mentioned it, the Cotton Bowl is more of a bowl, so I'm not sure the wind will be too much of a factor, but you can hear it whipping around. I'll be curious to see how it changes as the game goes on.
These are two of the, as we mentioned earlier, two of the better offensive teams in the league, but both are working in some new additions to their squads here tonight. Lexi Missimo, one of them, as that pass just eluded the Texas prodigy, Texas Longhorn, who, I mean, we saw the welcome video that Dallas Trinity put together for her, and some of the Dallas legends.
All the people I grew up watching in that video: Dirk Nowinski, Mike Madonna, Nancy Lieberman with a very lengthy welcome to Dallas for Lexi Missimo. And it's interesting, too, we'll talk about this as the game goes on, but you'll notice in that starting lineup, no Sam Meza for Dallas anymore. She has completed her loan back to the Seattle Reign, and everyone will tell you she was such an integral part to the offense for Dallas.
Could this be something brewing for Tampa Bay? For a moment, it was a good build-up. Flo Nelson had gotten it going, but that pass to the outside, just a little bit off target, so results in a goal kick. There's Lexi Missimo in her professional debut. The lore behind her career: she committed to the University of Texas while she was in 7th grade.
We love a girl that knows what she wants, man. Sometimes that's all it takes. And I gotta, again, being a Texas born and bred is certainly a way to get in front of the net here.
And here comes Missimo in her debut, slides it in. Could you have drawn it up any better? It took less than 4 minutes for Lexi Missimo to make her mark in USL Super League for Dallas. And she puts them on top 1-0.
Well, we were talking about the star power that was giving her the welcome to Dallas. In a few minutes, it's going to be like she's the biggest star in Dallas. No better way to kick off your professional debut than getting on the scoreboard, and she did it in under 5 minutes. It's a perfect ball played in, and those situations when you're 1v1 with the keeper on a new team, it can feel nerve-wracking, but she was so calm, so composed in front of net. Unfortunately, the keeper there, Orkis, just unable to make the save, but what a brilliant finish by Lexi Missimo.
First of the, well, we hope and expect to be a long and productive career for Lexi Missimo, making her debut. And as you see, Haley, when Dallas scores first, they have yet to lose this season. And for Tampa Bay, they've had a tough time coming back last week, notwithstanding. They haven't won yet, and they fell behind.
Yeah, and this is really a gut check. It's good and bad for Tampa, right? On the negative side, you're down very early, and it sort of shifts the momentum on either way. Dallas is feeling good. They got that early goal out of the way. They can settle into their game plan. On the flip side of that, it's the 6th minute in this game that's going to go on 90-plus minutes, right? So there's still plenty of opportunity. We saw them find the equalizer in the literal last minute of the game against Fort Lauderdale. Potentially another one loading here. Could have been a penalty. Amber Brooks maybe a little physical there. We'll have to take another look at the replay, but
Brooks has played every minute of every match this season, one of 7 players in USL Super League to do so. A nasty giveaway by Dallas as Walker went and chased it down. And just a poor pass set things up, and Flint almost took advantage, but Dallas able to survive as that is cleared away.
Yeah, and it's not a normal to see Walker, formerly Weinbrenner, making that mistake. She's typically pretty clinical in the back, just didn't take a chance to look over her shoulder there. Natasha Flint, right place, right time. And I gotta be honest with you, Josh, that surprises me that the referee didn't call the penalty. I know it's early in the game, but there was contact. She certainly went down. So definitely interesting there, but good to see that the referee is interested in letting these girls play early on.
I certainly feel like we've seen less given a penalty. But if you're Denise Schulte-Brown and you're Tampa, you had 2 strong buildups, just haven't been able to, get it figured out in that final third. So at least on a positive note, they were able to find some kind of buildup. Maybe they can, for their sake, capitalize off some of those chances. Tonight's injury report is brought to you by UT Southwestern Medicine. A lot of names for both teams missing action tonight.
Yeah, the big one there, goalkeeper for Tampa Bay, Kayla Marquise, got injured in the first half of last week's game against Fort Lauderdale. She's the hometown kid and was making her debut there, so tough to see her out with the knee injury. But a lot of opportunity for other players to step up. We know Ashley Orcus has been such a critical goalkeeper for Tampa Bay this season. She's been the starter for much of the season anyway, so not an unfamiliar position for her to come in and take care of business there in the second half.
And this is Orcus's 10th start for Denise Schulte-Brown in Tampa Bay, and an illustrious collegiate career. 3-time goalkeeper of the year in the SEC while she was at Ole Miss, as a whistle halts this rush up from Ubogagu. And there's Ashley Orcus, who, as we mentioned, was the first player ever, actually, in SEC history to win goalkeeper of the year 3 times. 3 clean sheets to her name this season, and had a really strong start back in August. She was the player of the month in the inaugural month of the USL Super League. Oh.
I've been waiting to see that throw, and I saw it on social media last week, and I've been waiting to see it. It is such a difficult skill with the throw in there from Zaid, but one of the newer additions in the Super League this season, and it's just so much fun to watch. This is such a difficult throw in to accomplish.
And there it is again.
But look what it does.
And all the way on goal, and results in a corner.
That's a 20-plus yard throw in there. It sets up Tampa Bay for a goal-scoring position in a place that normally you'd have to get some build-up and a cross into the box. I mean, take another look at this throw-in. You're generating so much power on the flip throw-in, and it puts it right perfectly in the box. Even White back there in goal, Madison White, had to take a second to be like, oh my gosh, this came right to my hands.
So here's the corner, first of the game. And swinger, never got on target. I wonder how much the wind affected that. But do you think we'll start to see more players adopt that style of throw-in? You mentioned it's very difficult mechanically to do. Did you ever try it, at least in practice, in your playing days?
I'm athletic, but I am very clumsy. I am not afraid to admit that, and so I think I just tore my ACL watching her throw that ball in. But I did play against a girl, I believe it was Western Kentucky when I was playing in Conference USA, and she had a throw in very similar. And it puts everyone on the field on alert, right? Because that normally when you're a throw-in, you're so marked tight to your person and there's some movement jostling around. With a throw like that, it's almost like you're setting up for a free kick or a set piece because of the distance and the way the ball is traveling in. You have to be a little bit more aware of the aerial threat that it causes.
A lot of contact there, and then Dallas able to clear it away. You know, aside from that one rush where Missimo scored, in Tampa Bay, the first 10 minutes has been the team that's had the majority of possession and threatened a little more.
And it was kind of similar that way when they took on Fort Lauderdale. It was interesting to see Fort Lauderdale be the team to get on the board first because a lot of the possession and a lot of the chances came from the Tampa Bay attack, which we're used to seeing. 3 of the top goal scorers in this league are on Tampa Bay's squad. So it's not unusual for Denise Schulte-Brown's squad to dominate the attack. She told us in our coaches meeting this week that's actually the game plan with her team. She loves being the team that focuses on that possession style of play. But they've got to be able to capitalize on their chances. Already we've seen 2-3 opportunities that could have had this game level early. You're not going to get very many of those as the game goes on, so really going to be important to clean those up as this one continues.
8 NCAA tournament appearances, 5 conference titles, whether it was the tournament or the regular season, while she was at USF. And that's something that when they went out in the middle of the season break and decided, right, what roster moves are we going to make? How are we going to improve the team? What you just talked about was what they wanted to hone in on. She mentioned the acquisitions have brought in a ton of speed, but that wasn't necessarily what the main thing was that she was in search for. That's what you were just talking about.
Yeah, and listen, like anytime you can add extra speed to your roster, it's always a good thing. And this attack is already so dominant with the big 3 up. And I think when you mix in Sid Nasello, who plays a little bit wider, she's got a tendency to be a little bit more defensive minded, but can go on the offense. She certainly can be an impact player. But again, like, you just have to be able to take advantage of those opportunities when they're given, and that's what Tampa Bay has really struggled with, finding wins as opposed to drawing all of the games.
Here are all the moves that Tampa made during the break. Riley Parker now with Carolina Ascent, but Parker Goins, Zaid, who we saw on the throw-in a couple times, Jackie Simpson, who played for Denise Schulte-Brown at USF, and then Victoria Haugen Also part of the group of 4 that Tampa Bay brought in during the in-season break.
Beautiful move there by Amber Brooks. You talked about her experience. I remember asking Coach Pauline McDonald in the fall season when she thinks about Amber Brooks, what's the first thing that comes to mind? And she just said she's resilient. This is a girl who has traveled all over the world to chase her career, and yet she's playing every single minute in this Super League. She's one of the oldest players in the league, which I know she's going to be mad. She doesn't like when we mention her age on the broadcast, but she does bring a lot of experience, a lot of energy. She's a very feisty player as well. So obviously we talked about the offensive engine for Tampa Bay. She's the defensive engine for Dallas.
Over 10,000 minutes in her career, as Hawksdaughter is able to get that to her keeper, Orcus. And Tampa Bay can at least try and get it started the other way. As the pass by Page is intercepted. It's Gracie Bryan. 2 goals on the season. To the outside it comes. Now whipped into the area. Headed away by Tampa Bay.
And that's the Dallas game plan. Win the ball, get the turnover, send it out wide, and play that ball inside. Ironically enough, I think it was Allie Thornton who played that ball inside, but she's typically the one in the box getting touches on it. But that's what Dallas likes to do. They have speed on the outside in Bryan and Ubagagu on the opposite side, and they like to feed those channels out wide and get those balls played in. It's why I think most of their goals this season have come inside the box.
18 of their 21 now have come from inside, right in front of goal. And, you know, it was so interesting as this shot goes wide from Sierra Hinson. I asked Pauline McDonald when we spoke this week about what she likes about, you know, her team's offensive output. And her answer somewhat surprised me because she goes, look, the numbers are great, but might be a little skewed.
Yeah.
Dallas has scored 9 of their 20, now 21 goals against Lexington.
And six of them they scored here against Lexington.
Right. So about half their goals have come against one opponent. They've been shut out a few times this year as well. Pauline McDonald feels like there is more meat on the bone that Dallas is leaving out there. And that's something that she really hopes that they're able to hone in on and get better at in this second half as they push towards the top of the table.
And I mean, look no further than the woman who scored the goal, Lexi Missimo. That's exactly why she was brought in. She was brought in to be that presence, to fill that gap that Pauline McDonald thought her squad was missing.
Tampa Bay trying to equalize. This is Nacello, the former USF Bull, played for Denise Schulte-Brown there. She gets the throw in after Celie Strawn deflected it over the touchline. Strawn a commit to UNC. You got to wonder how Amber Brooks maybe deals with that, considering her numbers retired there. And she's playing with someone who is yet to play a game for the Tar Heels, but will be heading there next season.
And I think that's the really special part about the Super League, is just the mix and the melting pot of all the different players and their experience. You have women who have played in the top leagues in England and in Germany. You've got women who have yet to make their college debut, and yet they've found a way to work together seamlessly. I wish the Super League was around when I was in college, because one of the reasons why I chose not to play professionally was because I didn't want to move to Israel or Turkey or somewhere that I was just unfamiliar with the lay of the land. And I think this Super League really gives the game of soccer so much more power. It gives you the opportunity to grow at home and thrive and continue to grow the sport here. And you still get that same experience while playing, you know, right in your backyard. So it's been really special just to see the blending of all the different styles and places and people coming together.
I'm sure it's also very cool for players on each team around the league that are essentially playing at home.
Yeah.
And the fan bases that have embraced all the clubs in the league so far is really cool to see as well. And there was a time, I bet, where a lot of these players didn't think they'd be able to experience something like that.
Yeah, like I said, it's hard when you, and I mean, this was what, 10 years ago when I was playing in college, but again, like, that was your decision. It was, if you want to play professional soccer, for the most part, I mean, if you were good enough to get drafted into the NWSL, then that's another thing. But, you know, if you wanted to play professionally, most of the time, your options were to go to Europe or to go to somewhere in Africa or wherever it is to go and get that playing experience. So for players like Celie Strawn, man, I am so excited to see her future going forward, because The world is her oyster.
Yeah, she graduates high school in 2026. She's got a little time, and again.
Thank you for making me feel even more ancient.
Hey,
Gosh.
it's both of us. What are you talking about? I mean, I lost all my hair. 2026 high school graduate playing at the pro level here, and you mentioned how much it could potentially refine her game, and she's one of a good group of players in this league that are in similar situations, as you pointed out as well.
I was on the call for a Carolina game in the fall slate, and one of the things that Coach Philip Poole talked about was just that, right? Because they have a lot of youth on their roster as well. And one of the things he said was really interesting. He said, you know, it's a challenge with some of these younger players because you want to find the balance of them being a 17-year-old and experiencing all the things that you experience when you're young and in high school, but also getting them to understand that you're a little bit higher of a tier than what a normal 17-year-old is. So I think it's a really interesting balance. Again, it just gives them the opportunity to play professionally without maybe the pressures of being a full-blown adult that is having to balance being a professional.
1-0 to Dallas here. This match 18 minutes old. Lexi Missimo in the 4th minute. The prodigy from the state of Texas. A lot of pomp, a lot of circumstance around her arrival with Dallas Trinity FC, and she wasted very little time in making an impact, not only for her team, but in this league. And now Dallas working to protect that 1-0 advantage here at the Cotton Bowl at home. Select is the official match ball supplier of the USL Super League and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. Josh Appel, Haley Sutton with you from the Cotton Bowl. Hawksdottir, the Iceland national team player, will head up there in a few days. Pinballing around in the box, but now staying composed and able to get the clear.
And it seems like Tampa's best challenges have actually come from the back line, feeding those balls up into the attacking third. They've seen some really good success there, connecting with Carly Giamona up there. I'd love to see her get that ball out from under her feet just to be able to get a little bit more of a challenge on the goal there. Because we really haven't seen, you know, too much in this last 10 minutes or so. Things have really settled down, both of these teams settling into the match.
Tampa Bay wins the corner there. Cecile Flo-Nielsen. Second corner of the match for Tampa Bay, their first one. They weren't even able to put it in play.
And you can see the flag. The wind is whipping down there.
This will be an in-swinger. Played well by Dallas. And they get the foul. Save made anyways by Madison White. An impressive one at that, but the whistle came before the shot on goal.
You hear the crowd reaction to that, but honestly, this is something that Maddie White is used to doing. She's got 5 clean sheets, I believe, on the season, second in the league, so she is someone who is very difficult to score on. I think what I like most about her in net is she's not afraid to utilize her hands. I think a lot of times with keepers, you know, the easy thing to do is to punch the ball out. I think she does a good job a lot of times of making contact, obviously not on that last save, but that is something that I've noticed with her game. She's just very cool, calm, and composed back there as well.
On loan from Racing Louisville. She has been one of the better keepers in all of USL Super League. Don't miss out, Dallas Trinity FC fans. Next home match at the Cotton Bowl is coming up next Saturday against Spokane Zephyr FC. Scan the QR code for tickets or send an email to tickets@DallasTrinityFC.com to get your group out to the pitch. Historic, I think you could call it a landmark in the state of Texas.
It is
Cotton
definitely
Bowl.
a landmark, yes.
Slid through the dangerous spot there, and nobody home for Tampa Bay. Schulte Brown, you've got to be at least pleased with the response since giving up the early goal. Still alive for Tampa, edge of the 18, sent on, back post, and it's over and will result in a goal kick
Well, and to your point, I do think that Schulte Brown will be satisfied with how her team has really settled in. The response to not concede another goal is always the biggest scare when you give up an early goal that way. But I think now they're really starting to settle in. Natasha Flynn is so physical up there up top, being able to distribute that ball back. I think the shot just didn't get her full body over it there on the attempt. But either way, good to see them start to settle into their game plan a little bit. I mentioned they like sending those deep balls from the defense up top, but that just a little combination ball slotted across that kick-started that attack.
You know, Haley, we asked both coaches because, of course, Tampa Bay has already played a match in this second half of the season, the spring season. This is Dallas's first match of the spring. And I was curious to get each coach's perspective on who that gives the advantage to. Who do you think? I mean, you've heard both coaches' answers. I think Denise Schulte Brown was like, well, you know, they've kind of seen us play already, so from that standpoint, we're at the disadvantage. But at the same time, maybe a little fresher legs on the Dallas side, too. So how do you read that situation?
I lean towards Tampa Bay having the advantage. And just from a player standpoint, I always remember that the first game of the season is always the hardest because you've been practicing for months. You've had the off season to get ready, the anticipation of that first game, and things most of the time don't go the way you want it to, right? You're rusty, you don't have the chemistry that you want at that time. And so I think for Tampa Bay, yes, they did give the rest of the league extra film to look at, but also all of these teams have seen each other multiple times to this point. I think for Tampa Bay, they had that first game to sort of get behind, to find a way to rally back and settle in. So as they come into this game, they just feel a little bit more connected to what they're trying to do this season.
Haugen did a good job shielding off Sierra Hinson. Jamona has been quiet, gives it away. Ubagagu cuts to the outside. Tried to put it back towards the center, and then Jamona did a nice job of recovering and sending it over to Listro.
Always important when you're an attacking player and you give the ball away to immediately try to fix the problem. And it's something that I struggled with as a player. I played outside midfield, but I was every bit of an attacking outside midfielder you could want because defense, I hated playing. But it was important to my teammates that if I did drop back and try to help out with the defense and maybe make an error, it was important to them that I then turn around and try to win that ball back. So I appreciate Carly at least going back there and winning the possession back for her team.
You know she's not going to stay quiet for long. Time for second in the league in goals. Scored last week on a PK. I'm never going to get tired of that throw-in, by the way.
I know. You saw earlier, I meant to mention it. She did a regular throw-in, the throw before that.
Didn't like
it. You missed it because you weren't expecting the fireworks.
Flo Nielsen has it taken away as she goes down inside the box. Julia Dorsey was able to clear it away and get out of harm's way, but Flo Nielsen a little bit slow to get up. She scored the equalizing penalty in stoppage time last week. Take another look at this play. Brooks hot on her tail, and then Dorsey came over with a nice defensive play.
It looks clean to me. I will get a better look at it here. I think Dorsey does a good job of making contact with the ball. I think that trail leg just catches her a little bit. I wouldn't have been surprised if the referee gave the penalty, but I think seeing that first challenge early in the match when she didn't give the PK, it kind of matches up with what she did earlier.
Jamona tried to get that on goal, was unable to. Now Zaid. Pass to the middle was deflected. Tampa Bay remains with possession. Zaid working on Obugagu, and this results in another corner for Tampa Bay Sun FC.
You know, we have been fangirling over the throw-in, but I've been really impressed with how Zaid has really put her mark on this game early. One of the newer players, again, it's just so difficult to try and find your footing in any new situation, but I think she's done an incredible job of stepping in today. She's been a really big impact player for them on the flank. She's won a lot of her one-on-one challenges as well, and of course that throw-in is something we'll be talking about all game long, but really impressed with her.
Towards the back post, not a bad corner, but Tampa Bay couldn't make a play on it. Knox daughter. Now Listro sends it into the area. Headed away. Give it away. It's back for Zaid. Pushed off of it and taken by Hinson.
Hinson, a forward for Dallas, by the way, and look at her dropping all the way back into the defensive third to make the save.
Listro, service in, right into the hands of Maddie White. who corrals it and settles things down just a little bit for Dallas here in the 27th minute. They have a 1-0 lead on the debut goal from Lexi Missimo in the 4th minute. Dallas looking for more. That's a good ball, but just out of the reach. Allie Thornton was making the run up that right side. She's also been relatively quiet. That rolls over the touchline. Zaid couldn't keep it in. Not much really she could do there, and it's a throw in for Dallas. Davison will do the honors. Davison, who was questionable coming into tonight with a leg injury, scored the first goal in team history against Tampa Bay back in August. You see 2 shots apiece, 1 on goal for Dallas. It resulted in the only goal of tonight's game to this point. Haley, that really jumps out. Touches inside the box. 4 times as many for Tampa than Dallas.
And it just means that your team is comfortable holding on to the possession, which leans true to what Schulte Brown really wants this team to look like. When you're able to comfortably and confidently ping the ball around in your opposition's, opposite box, there's a lot of bodies that can get crammed in there. So their ability just to kind of ping it around, be patient, find those passing channels to come through. I think that's going to be a challenge for Dallas, especially in this second. And if it's still a 1-0 game, when this is, approaching the 70th minute maybe, I'm curious to see how Tampa Bay can take advantage of that. Because again, I know the last game it was PKs that saved them, but they were in that game. They were creating chances as that second half ticked on.
Tampa Bay's road numbers this year, 2-3-2, but they have yet to win anywhere this season when conceding the first goal, which they did in the 4th minute here tonight. And it makes it all the more difficult, given how great Dallas has been. They've got at least a point in 6 of the 7 home matches they played this year. As you see, 3-1-3. Ubogagu. Tampa Bay able to corral it. The only loss that Dallas has endured here at home to first place Brooklyn.
Yeah, I was on the call for that game in that regular season finale, and it just felt like Dallas never really settled into the match the way they wanted to. And I know Brooklyn was on an absolute tear to end the season. They were clearly the best team at that point of the season. And there were a lot of lessons to be learned in that regular season finale. I know none of these coaches will talk to you about the playoffs or anything further than the game that's in front of them, which I think is a great approach. But I also think as these games go on, that's going to be a big talking point, right? In the big games, you have to find a way to get results. We just mentioned Tampa Bay not being able to get a win on the road, but they are finding ways to draw. They're still keeping themselves in the positive. So not to say that Dallas has not been positive as well, but I think that the spring will be just a little bit more competitive given how much these teams have been able to settle into the league.
31st minute here from the Cotton Bowl. Another ball over the top. This is Thornton. But a great recovery there by Page to break that up. That's the last thing you want to see if you're Tampa Bay, and that's Allie Thornton screaming in for a chance. Hinson looking for Thornton again. Page runs into her. Correction, that was Hawksdaughter. Now Brooks loops one in, headed down by Tampa. What can Dallas do to kind of solve Tampa Bay? Because outside of that run from Missimo in the 4th minute where she scored, there really hasn't been much.
I think they're just a little rusty. Some of the passes we just saw in that buildup. Amber Brooks had the right idea trying to send Celie Strawn on the run, but the weight of the pass was lacking, and so Tampa was able to sort of corral there. Now, some of that is the wind, some of that is the elements, but again, it's just rust, right? And I talked about it. Tampa Bay has that game already under their belt, so they kind of know the things that they needed to improve on coming into this second game. So I think for Dallas, the biggest thing is they're going to have to contain the middle of the field. I think a lot of what Tampa likes to do is just this. They like working the ball through, sending this big ball up. So Dallas is going to have to be able to snag some of that possession and then get it out to their wide players. Ubagagu is such a threat on the left side of the field. I'd like to see her get the ball at her feet a little bit more.
Third meeting this season between Tampa Bay and Dallas. Dallas 1-0-1. A 1-1 draw in the season opener, inaugural game for both teams. And then a 2-0 clean sheet victory for Dallas the last time they matched up in early December. And a win tonight, 3 points, it'll have to be in come from behind fashion, but 3 points tonight for Tampa Bay pulls them within a tie for second place in the league table. Obviously still plenty of time to go in this spring season, of course, and this is only game 1. But if you look at how the table has kind of set itself at the moment, you've got the top 5 teams, really 2 through 5 separated by what, 3 points right now? It is a jam-packed race for the top 4 spots in USL Super League. DC, Lexington, and Spokane have a bit of work to do, but hey, 1 streak, and they're right back in it. Hannah Davison picks up a yellow. Davison, a stalwart on that back line for Pauline McDonald and Dallas.
And there's that throw again. Look at where that throw just, it sets Tampa Bay up perfectly, and they weren't able to capitalize on it, but it is such a valuable asset to have on your roster, to have a player who can throw the ball regardless of the mechanism of it, but just the distance that it gets.
In a spot like that, it's almost like a pseudo corner, the way that it floats in there. And
yeah, great point.
just hope for a deflection and a lucky bounce. Never know. Missimo, who has the goal. Ahead for Thornton, but too much on it. Coming over to clear it away was Flo Nielsen.
And again, that's that rust, right? Just not having the chemistry. Missimo obviously being one of the newer players on the team, just haven't quite got that game time chemistry just yet, but it's a great opportunity there, and good to see Dallas kind of get back to a little bit of life on offense.
Just got to look at Brooke Hendricks, who scored against Dallas in the opener back in August. Southern Miss alum.
Rocking the mask today as well. I'm sure it is for an injury, but I got to be honest, it's very intimidating as an attacker to go against a center back with the Batman mask.
Feel like mentally, you know, she's seen some things.
Yes, exactly.
Been through some stuff, seen some things. Dallas trying to keep this alive. Have to reset at the moment. Brooks. Dorsey was battling in the corner with Page. And it ends in a goal kick for Ashley Orkis. Gear up, Dallas Trinity FC fans. Show your team spirit with exclusive merchandise. Scan the QR code now to shop our latest collection and support the team in style. 36th minute of the first half. A half hour ago, Lexi Missimo in her pro debut got Dallas on the score sheet. They've been protecting that lead ever since. Ubagagu. Foul given here as Gracie Bryan took a spill. Dallas building up again. Cross comes in, almost an own goal. Zaid fortunate that it rose over the crossbar. That was almost a disaster for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and that's definitely something you don't want when you've been the team controlling the momentum. It's a dangerous ball in on the outside. And I think it was Haugen actually who got the head on there at the last minute to clear it away. But yeah, that's just, it's one of those situations that you don't ever want to be in.
Corner, bit low. Dorsey has to come out and play it. So substitution here for Tampa Bay, an early one. Page will exit for Tampa Bay. And in comes another USF Bull who played for Denise Schulte-Brown. At USF, Vivienne Bissett. Page looks to be healthy from what we can see. Don't want to speculate on injury, but a sub this early in the 38th minute.
Certainly an interesting tactic, from Schulte-Brown, and you see there, she is not happy to be taken off the field, having a little bit of an interaction there. So hopefully we'll get some more information on that. The good news for Tampa Bay is that Vivienne Bissett, quite experienced when it comes to playing on this Tampa Bay back line, but certainly something to keep our eye on there with Page getting pulled there in the 36th minute.
Yeah, as you said, did not seem happy about it, and Denise Schulte-Brown was like, hey, let's iron this out here before you go and take a seat.
And it's the challenge of playing a team sport, right? Everybody wants to, you want to be for the team, but you also want to be for yourself. And if I can be blunt for a minute, if I'm getting subbed off in the 36th minute of the first half of the game, I mean, that means you can't go back in the game. So I think there's a little bit of frustration that comes with that if you are Paige, you know, having to be taken off at this point. But obviously, your coach knows best, and that's the situation that we're facing.
You know, I do wonder from a coach's perspective, and now that you're out of the game, maybe you have a less bias towards a player's perspective on this, but as a player is down for Dallas, that's Davison, who again we mentioned was questionable coming in, but she is up onto her feet now. I feel like for Denise Schulte-Brown, you don't want to see Paige come off the pitch, no reaction, go sit down, and that's it. I feel like you kind of want her to be frustrated and show that competitive edge.
Yeah, we're going to get a look here at the foul on Hannah Davidson just to make sure she was all right. Looks like she just went in a little hard there with Natasha Flint. But to answer your question, yes, I think it's very important for a coach to see, you know, that fire and that disdain, that frustration for being taken off the field. But again, I mentioned it's a team sport, right? So sometimes the way, it might even have been a formation thing. I think she was playing on the outside where I think that the Dallas outside backs and the outside midfielders are just having a little bit more free reign on that right side of the field. So maybe it was a tactical change. You bring in a Vivienne Bissett who's maybe played against some of these players and have a little bit more experience in containing that outside. I think they also know as well they're playing from behind. So some things to pay attention to as well as we see Hannah Davison now down again.
Again, she came in questionable tonight. Tried to continue after taking that hit we saw moments ago. The injury that she was dealing with coming in was a leg injury. This one, as you can see, she's nursing that upper right hip area.
And it almost seems like, taking a look at the replay that we got to see earlier, it's one of those when you make contact, like your bone hits another bone or another hard object, and it just hurts, you know, really, really bad for
Wrong
that
place,
moment.
right
yeah,
time.
exactly. And so you kind of see it there. She played that ball, and it just looked like it was maybe causing her some issues in passing almost. Certainly something to be mindful of, though, because again, she is a staple in the back for Dallas, and she is one of the taller players. She brings size as well to the back line for Dallas, so we'll see her come off.
They're a little short-handed back there too. Henriksen out tonight, not available. Maya Gordon not available. So they really only got 4 or 5 that they can go back to on that back line. Gabriella Guillen did not start tonight. You would imagine that she would be the one to come in to replace Davison. But that's pretty much it on their back line depth-wise for tonight.
And I think for this league and what we've seen out of these teams, it's not, you know, unrealistic to think that Pauline McDonald maybe shifts her formation a little bit. Maybe she goes, you know, with 4 in the back and, you know, brings in some extra defenders, or maybe she keeps it a little bit lighter in the back and brings in a couple of extra midfielders to replace her. So obviously it'll be something to keep our eye on as we saw Hannah Davis step off the field. I don't think she's been replaced by a player, so Dallas at this point playing with 10 until the next dead ball.
Thornton navigate that space, but she is watched and played well by Victoria Haugen. So it looks like Davison's night is over, unfortunately for her and Dallas. We'll see who they bring in to replace her in a moment.
And it might be, you know, you never want to say that an injury is a blessing, right? We'll keep an eye on it. But she was playing on that early yellow card. So maybe, you know, a blessing in disguise, we'll call it, that, you know, you never want to get into a situation late in the game when you've got a player on a yellow in your defense.
'43rd minute. Hawksdaughter. This is Nacello. Lost it. Correction, that was Zaid. Throw in here for Dallas. They're able to make the substitution now. Deborah Abadoun is the sub, making her club debut with Dallas. On loan, along with Tamara Bolt from Washington Spirit for the second half of the season. Abadoun comes in unfortunate circumstances. Certainly not the debut that, the circumstances at least, that Dallas maybe would have hoped for, losing a defender.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Another player with experience, national team experience as well. 7 appearances for the Nigerian national team, both the World Cup and the Olympics.
And you'll notice as well, too, I mentioned the potential of a formation change. Amber Brooks has dropped all the way back. Almost looks like she is set to replace Davison back there. They've shifted Abadoun, up into more of like a defensive midfielder role. So there were some tactical changes there from McDonald on that substitution.
But it just goes to show you how valuable a player like Brooks is, that she has that wealth of experience, and whatever the team needs, she's able to slide in seamlessly.
And do it well as well.
She has played every minute of every game. One of 7 players in USL Super League. Here's a shaky giveaway by Ashley Orcus, but they're able to recover, and she falls on it as time winds down here in the first half. Abadoun. Hawksdaughter. Past Listro, and now Bissett. This is Sydney Nacello. Her cross into the middle.
Great ball in by Nacello.
Hawksdaughter tried to follow it up. The shot was blocked. Good pressure here by Tampa. Still not out of the woods yet. Oh. Jenna Walker just took a boot to the face after Natasha Flint tried to volley it to herself. And look on the turn, what happened here. This looks painful.
And I know Natasha Flint is trying to say that it was an accident. I think it was. The good news here is I think it's the ball that makes contact with Walker's face. It doesn't make it any better because it still hurts, and it was in such close proximity. Initially, I thought this was going to be a card because you can't make that high of a kick at any point of the field, but there was no card given at this point. However, if you're Natasha Flint, you know where you're at on the field. You can't lift your boot that high up in the air to try and make contact. I mean, it's a high kick.
Have to be responsible for yourself.
Yeah, so, and a veteran player of her status obviously would know that. And again, it was completely unintentional, but certainly does not feel good if you are Jenna Walker right now.
You ever taken a ball to the face like that, or a boot to the noggin in your playing days?
Never a boot, but when I was in high school, again, grew up in Texas, so we played our college season in like the winter/early fall, so very similar to this now. And I remember a December practice over Christmas break where I took a ball to the face in like 40-degree weather, and that, to this day, I feel like I can still feel the impact of it. It did not feel good.
Good news for Tampa. Excuse me, good news for Dallas. Jenna Walker able to walk off for the moment. Her story is so interesting. Spent time with North Carolina Courage, Kansas City Current, but also in 2023 spent time as an assistant coach for the Kansas City Comets in Major Arena Soccer League. Was the first female assistant coach in that league's history, and part of the advantage that she felt in her offseason was she was able to train with the team, practice with the team, and a lot of valuable experience from the coaching perspective, and of course able to get those practice reps in.
Well, and I just think it's so interesting being able to see the game from a different perspective.
Yeah.
I think as players, we have a tendency just to get stuck in the now and what we're doing. And so being able to have that coaching experience is really valuable because you can, understand the game from a different lens.
Foul given. Tampa Bay will get things started again from that spot. Expect to have a couple more minutes added on here just after the injury stoppage for Walker, who is back on the pitch, which is fantastic news.
It's going to get a little dicey back there if she wasn't able to go with Davison already being taken off the field. It would not feel good if you're Dallas going into the second half down two of your best, most experienced defenders.
Missimo scored the goal in the 4th minute. Here's Gracie Bryan, TCU alum.
Look at the speed from Bryan advancing that ball forward. Again, just the weight of the pass a little too heavy there, but I love the burst of speed coming out of the back.
Well, that's what Pauline McDonald was alluding to with us a little bit on our call. That final third. No, it wasn't quite the final third there yet, but they just haven't been able to fully figure that out. And again, that's a pass a little bit off target there kind of thwarts things. And it's just little things like that kind of build up over the course of a game and a season.
And I think that's the challenge of playing in the 3-5-2, right? When you play in the 3-5-2, you want your game to come through the midfield, whether that's wide or in the middle, and both of these teams are doing just that. But I think the challenging part is that it leaves you with just 2 players up top, and so you have to have really clinical attacking players up there at the top to give you that threat. And we just really haven't seen that from Dallas to this point. We did see Missimo obviously get on the scoreboard, but obviously still some work to do in that area.
Pinballing around in a dangerous spot once again. And just before the half ends, well, I thought maybe Tampa Bay would have another corner. Instead, it's a goal kick. Last touch was by Tampa Bay. Awaiting the halftime whistle from our referee, Irina Petronic. Missimo, one of 5 players for Tampa Bay that played collegiately at USF for Denise Schulte-Brown.
I love watching Sydney Lacello play soccer. She's just got this certain flair about her game. She's so good on the ball as well, just maintaining possession. Not quite seen her impact just yet for Tampa Bay, but certainly the potential to do so in the second.
Well, there's the halftime whistle here at the Cotton Bowl. 1-0 to Dallas on the 4th minute goal by Lexi Missimo, the highly anticipated debut, the Texas soccer prodigy, and she wasted little time. And outside of that, though, a half that Tampa Bay probably very happy with.
Yeah, it's never good to go down early, but certainly better when you cannot concede another goal. So Tampa Bay will be happy, but know they have work to do going forward.
We're joined by Lexi Missimo in just a moment. But how can Tampa Bay maybe adjust a bit to get that equalizer in the second half on the road?
Yeah, I think they're just going to need to come out really consistent and on the front foot in the second half. We saw Dallas be able to control the tempo and the temperature of the game because they got that early goal. If Tampa Bay can get out early and get that early equalizer, it'll feel like a much different game.
Well, let's join down on the field now. Lexi Missimo, the goal scorer here tonight, 4 minutes into the first half. Lexi, first of all, congratulations on your debut. Did you envision you getting on the score sheet that quickly?
No, I didn't envision that, but I'm glad that I could be able to contribute for this team and put one away early on.
I mean, Lexi, I got to be honest with you. I'm a Dallas girlie myself. To be able to score your first professional career goal at the historic Cotton Bowl, I mean, walk us through what you saw on this cross from your teammate and the finish.
Yeah, I saw Allie running down the line, and then I knew the defenders were following her almost as bait, and she had me in on a beautiful cross, and I just took a finish. It was me 1v1 with the goalie, and I knew I couldn't miss.
Well, Lexi, congratulations on your first goal. Congratulations on your debut. Good luck the rest of the way tonight.
Thank you.
That's Lexi Missimo, the goal scorer. The Texas soccer prodigy at her debut wasted little time getting Dallas in front. First half in the books from the Cotton Bowl, 1-0 to Dallas over Tampa Bay.
New flavors, the same traditions. Be the guest of honor. Add more flavor to your parties. El Jimador, spiked bebidas.
Four-minute defending. Ramirez is in behind the keeper and scores!
Marley Canales with the cross. Richardson tapped home.
Bedoya launches and tucks it into the top right-hand corner. Whoa! Save man by Alpizi.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Relay Human Cloud makes it easy. Relay Staff Augmentation Model takes the risks and hassles out of global teams. Top talent, fast productivity gains, and up to 75% in labor savings.
Relay Human Cloud. Unlock growth through global teams.
This is UT Southwestern Medical Center, and this is where a spark happens. This is the teamwork that fuels it, the mentors who shape it. And this is where it comes together, with this care team connecting the dots, all leading up to this moment right here at UT Southwestern, where discoveries change lives. And this spark is just the beginning. Follow your spark at UT Southwestern, the future of medicine today.
Move freely and feel the support with compression Z leggings designed for ultimate comfort and recovery. Our premium compression wear helps relieve muscle soreness, promotes better circulation, and supports your every movement. Made with breathable, moisture-wicking fabric that stays odor-resistant and keeps you cool no matter how hard you push. Experience the difference with Compression Z. Use code Trinity20 to get your 20% off at www.compressionz.com.
Welcome back to the Cotton Bowl. Dallas Trinity FC leading Tampa Bay Sun FC 1-0 in Dallas's spring season opener. Josh Appel, Haley Sutton with you. Let's take a look around USL Super League at some news and notes. Derby Day draw, we talked about it a lot tonight, Haley, the 2-2 draw between Tampa Bay and Fort Lauderdale. Tampa Bay came back from down 2-0, a couple of PKs, including one in stoppage time to earn that draw, and then a lot of international call-ups. Great to see for the Super League. 13 players league-wide call up to their national teams, including a few that we've seen here tonight. First FIFA international window of 2025, and then a couple of the players early on in the Golden Boot race we're seeing here tonight as well.
Yeah, and some crossover there between international call-ups and the Golden Boot race as well, too. But I want to talk about that, being able to be called up by your country, to represent your country on the pitch. It's something that I dreamed of as a kid, and obviously I never got to do. But certainly for those younger kids, just an honor to be able to represent your country on your chest and get that extra experience as well, too.
For more on Tampa Bay's Carly Giamona, let's send it over to USL Super League Game Week with Marion Crowder and Anna Whitty.
A lot of new additions in the Super League who have made an instant impact on the pitch. Plus, they're going to be the reason some of these teams have success down the stretch.
Yeah, and we talked to veteran players like Carly Giamona who tell us exactly what it's going to take to lift a trophy at the end of the season.
More from the Cotton Bowl. It's halftime, 1-0 Dallas after this.
Trinity fans, you want the latest news on everything going on at the club? Sign up to our newsletter by scanning the QR code now to hear about DTFC appearances, merchant ticket discounts, and be the first to hear about our new signings. Sign up today. Make sure to stop by the merch booth in the fan zone outside Gate G to show off your favorite team in style. You can find all of your DTFC gear in one place, including new sweatshirts, hats, and more. Don't miss any of the action. Get to our now to shop our online collection. Dallas fan zone located outside of Gate G is open all night long. Whether you're looking for a fight to eat, merch to show off, or you want to make your very own DTFC poster, we've got you covered in the fan zone. Hey Dallas Trinity fans, tonight, immediately following the match, join us between sections 29 and 30, where you will have the opportunity of getting autographs from your Dallas Trinity players. Again, that's section 29 and 30.
At the half, Dallas leading Tampa Bay 1-0. Josh Rappel, former North Texas standout Haley Sutton with you, and it didn't take all that long for Lexi Missimo to make her impact in USL Super League for Dallas on the great ball from Golden Boot contender Allie Thornton. She says, you know what? I'll let the Rook get on the score sheet for the first time.
Yeah, a dream start for Lexi Missimo. She told us at halftime this is not how she anticipated her debut going, but she was certainly all smiles for it. Just a great finish from a great finisher. Then in the sixth, Tampa Bay with a chance to equalize. We don't typically see Jenna Walker making these mistakes. Just didn't take a chance to check her shoulder before she made this pass back. Thankfully, the Dallas defense and Maddie White at the very least there to get a touch. But certainly some scary moments from Tampa Bay in this second, or in the first.
This one not so scary. I just love the mechanics of this throw, and we love it every time we see it in the
Well,
first
and it
half.
was a little scary for Maddie White back there. Maybe a jump scare on the save. This was one of the better chances for Dallas, though, in that first half. Almost an own goal by Zayd there at the back post, just trying to get the clearance away. She's wiping the sweat off of her brow that didn't go in. But certainly good chances for both of these teams, Josh.
Yeah, and if you're Denise Schulte-Brown in Tampa Bay, you held most of the possession of that half, but unable to find the back of the net. It is a windy and gusty night at the Cotton Bowl. Second half between Tampa and Dallas coming up next. Lexi Missimo and Dallas Trinity FC with a 1-0 lead over Tampa Bay Sun FC as we get ready to start the second half. Josh Appel, Haley Sutton with you. Great conversation with Lexi after the first half. And a dream start for her. 4 minutes into her professional debut. Much ballyhooed. Signed late in January, one of the best players ever. Texas Longhorn program. Put her team on top 1-0. Off a great pass, you see from Allie Thornton just on your screen.
I wonder if any of the celebrities in that shout out that she got, like Dirk Nowitzki, Mike Modano, I wonder if any of those guys are in attendance and if they saw the goal and what their thoughts would be after they welcomed her to the city and then she lives up to the legacy. I feel like we need a follow-up video from all of those stars.
Look, Hall of Famers all over the place in that video, but I'm not sure any of them can match the type of debut like that quickly of having that sort of impact. It's almost diabolical. So Natasha Flint exits here as we start the second half, and Parker Goins, Arkansas alum, replaces her for Denise Schulte-Brown and Tampa Bay. Goins previously with Racing Louisville, had a decorated career while she was at Arkansas. Was midfielder of the year in 2021 when they won the SEC. Signed during the break, making her debut here with Tampa Bay.
And I'm excited to see Parker Goins, but interesting taking Natasha Flint out. We'll see how that changes the game down the stretch for Tampa.
Thornton taken off the ball by Nasello. That's Parker Goins. Let's see how she can impact Tampa Bay here on the road. Remember, they have not won. They have not won a game this season when conceding the first goal.
You know, we showed that ISO shot of Parker Goins wearing that signature white headband. It's something that she, you know, wears throughout her career. It hits kind of close to home for me because when I was playing in college, I actually wore neon headbands so that my mom, when she would come down to the games and sometimes she was running late, she would know exactly where I was because I wore an electric yellow or a hot pink headband. So mine wasn't Nike, it was from like Target. So shout out to her for the sponsorship. But I love that we have that connection.
Now we know, white headband, that's Parker Goins.
Certainly makes our job easier as well, too, identifying when she gets on the ball.
Here's Brooks stepping up. Brooks trying to slide it through, but it's deflected away by Brooke Hendricks, and it results in a corner.
And a rare offensive opportunity for Brooks there, just a little burst of speed. I like the decision as well on that pass. You know, I think the natural idea there is just to play a big ball forward, but I like her slotting that ball back, just a little bit less of the weight on the pass, able to get that corner kick easier.
An in-swinger towards the back post, went through the punch attempt of Ashley Orkis. Dallas thinks it should be another corner from the opposite side. Referee tonight, Irina Petronok, says the last touch was by Dallas, and so the goal kick comes for Tampa Bay. Listro, a little bit of a collision there. Flo Nielsen had it taken off her foot, and a throw-in coming for Tampa Bay as one of the assistant referees got tangled up with Flo Nielsen.
Oh, and I know that feeling right there. You're trying to walk it off and make it seem like it didn't hurt as much as it did, but just another one of those sticky little contacts where it just hurts a little bit extra, and then you see there, Flo Nielsen, another bone-on-bone collision. You see a lot of that in soccer, just some of those knocks and bruises that just hit you a little bit deeper.
Unavoidable. Maddie White to get it started. Just underway here in the second half. Celie Strawn went down. I think we might get a card here, and we will. Gracie Bryan will get carded. Looked like she might have just moved the ball out of the way as Nasello went to go pick it up for the throw-in.
Yeah, it looked like Nasello on the replay was trying to set the ball up, and then she cleared it away, Gracie Bryan did. So can't do that. That is considered a time-wasting tactic, if you will, and it is a card.
Early to start time wasting. I mean, come on. Second card tonight for time wasting for Dallas. Tampa Bay trying to equalize. That one gets through. Chance out in front! Off the bench, into the back of the net. Parker Goins levels the score at 1.
Well, we had no difficulty identifying the goal scorer there, but I want to take this even further back. This ball on the outside of the boot from Giamona. We've been talking about her being a goal scorer, but what a tremendous setup play there. And then the weighted pass just to slide that across the box. It's so good to be versatile as an attacking player. Carly could have taken the shot, but instead, selflessly, she passes it over to Parker Goins. We keep talking about debuts being spectacular today. This is the place to be if you're making your Super League debut inside the Cotton Bowl.
And how about Tampa Bay giving Dallas some of their own medicine? Dallas entered today, tied for first in the league with 4 goals from substitutes this season. And Parker Goins comes off the bench 5 minutes into her debut with Tampa Bay, just outside of the 4 minutes that Lexi Missimo scored. So Goins with her first goal for Tampa Bay. An immediate impact coming off the bench. And how about this too? Haley, we talk about the Golden Boot race as this service comes right into the arms of Ashley Orcus. We talk about the Golden Boot race between Allie Thornton and, of course, Carly Giamona, both tied for second. How about them both assisting on the 2 goals tonight instead of scoring them?
I'm picking up what you're putting down. Again, just the versatility of attacking players being able to both be a goal-scoring threat and a goal-creating threat is such a big part of how the game is transitioning. You even see it there with Dallas on that last build-up. It's not enough at this point of how the game has grown just to be a goal scorer. You have to be a player that's a threat all across the offensive attacking third. And so for Giamona, not only to be the player to set up the initial pass into the box, but then again, to follow the pass, to track, to put herself back in the mix, to be a part of the production there, getting that final assist was just the icing on the cake.
As we take a look at Thornton and Giamona, the 2 of the 3 involved, at least at the moment, for that Golden Boot race. It's still early, of course. You know, we're only just starting the spring season, but known for their goal scoring. They've both assisted on their team's goals tonight. 6 goals scored apiece this year. 2 of the best, obviously, goal scorers in USL Super League.
And I'll take it a step further because these 2 teams both very, very consistent, very accurate in front of the net. Both of them come into this matchup with a shooting accuracy of 50%. It's actually Tampa Bay that has the highest shooting accuracy at 54, just over 54%. Dallas at 52. I say all of those numbers to say that these are 2 teams that are not afraid to take shots, and when they do take those shots, Josh, they're usually pretty accurate. They're forcing goalkeepers to make saves, and we've kind of seen that today. We've seen a few balls go wide, but the goalkeepers have been pretty active on either side of the pitch here.
Both goals have come early in each half. In the 4th minute from Missimo, and the 50th minute, 5 minutes into this second half, from Parker Goins, who came on for Natasha Flint. Just the way that Tampa Bay acquitted themselves in the first half, it almost felt like it was a matter of time before they equalized.
Well, and it's the blessing and the curse of being up 1-0 early in a game. If you're Dallas, you know, you had the opportunities there to pile on the scoreboard there and really control your own destiny. And I think because Tampa Bay was so resilient in that first half to make sure that the lead didn't get any bigger than 1-0, they put themselves in really good position. And I got to be real with you, Josh. Sometimes when you're out there on the pitch, you maybe feel like the underdog in the matchup. You're down and you're coming into the second half. It fires you up a little bit. I can imagine in the locker room, they had a pretty spirited conversation. They talked about being able to be in this game, be level in this game. So it was much deserved, I think, from Tampa Bay to get that early goal in the second.
Flo Nielsen took a spill and drew the foul.
Ugh, yeah. Just a tough challenge. Flo Nielsen's had quite the day in terms of the physicality she's faced. It's unfortunate that she's such a important player on the roster that you almost have to expect that physicality because people don't want you to have the ball at your feet. The negative side of that, of course, is that you're going to get banged and bruised like we just saw and we've seen throughout the night for Flo Nielsen.
Nobody home for Tampa on that long ball. Missimo, strong touch, taken away by Bryan. And then given away. Missimo trying to chip it. Missimo just sends it high.
Oh, she's going to want that one to dip just a little bit lower. You saw it on the reaction. It's a heads-up play from Missimo to see the goalkeeper off her line. And she's rewarded. She's the one that initiated that sort of defensive takeaway. And if she was just 5 yards further on the pitch, I think we see that one dip into the back of the net for the lead.
Hawksdaughter. Goins tried it again, and Goins went down as White came out to meet her and make the save. It results in a corner. There's a lot of physicality in this match that hasn't really resulted in any discipline. The only discipline we've seen has been for time wasting.
Yeah, referee from the jump has really let these teams play out. I love the build-up here from Tampa Bay, and once again, it's Amber Brooks, fearless in the box, just making sure nothing else makes contact with the back of the net.
An in-swinging corner. Towards the back post. Didn't get enough on that and cleared away by Dallas. On the outside, Zaid. Trying to cross it in, but Maddie White grabs it. The round hasn't really been much sustained by Dallas tonight. The chances they've created have been on singular rushes, and the equivalent of basically a one and done for them if they even get to the one.
They've seen a lot of success with the counterattack tonight, I think, which is always a benefit whenever, you know, you're trying to get the most of momentum on the pitch. But yeah, to your point, you're right. It just seems like the possession and the ebbs and flows have leaned further with Tampa Bay, especially to start this second half. It just seems like they have come out just a little bit more organized, a little bit more focused on finding the back of the net. Whereas Dallas, I think, you know, just still trying to settle in here in the second half.
Do you still think rust is a factor at this point in the game? You know, you get the jitters out from early on. Now we're into the second half at home. Do you think that it's still maybe some rust from being, you know, not a lot of game action?
Maybe a little, but at this point of the game, you know, you're warmed up, you're settled in, you've seen the first half against this team. And it's always hard, you know, it's one thing, you know, to face a team that you've never faced before and, you know, settling in and trying to figure out where you can find the advantages on the field. But I think equally as difficult is matching up with a team that you've seen very regularly, right? This is a pretty small league in terms of the number of the teams in the actual league. And so you're playing a lot of the same players. You're seeing a lot of the rotation. And sometimes that can be a challenge to break through just because you're so prepared for what you're facing, but also your opponent is prepared to face you as well.
1-1 our score, approaching the 1 hour mark here at the Cotton Bowl. First match of the spring season for Dallas, second for Tampa Bay. Lexi Missimo, the soccer prodigy from Texas, getting on the score sheet with her first career professional goal 4 minutes in. And then Parker Goins evened it up 5 minutes into this second half, her first of the season and her second appearance with Tampa Bay. Debuted against Fort Lauderdale a week ago. Here's Missimo. Fires one on, and the save made, tipped over the bar. Missimo from long range with the attempt, and I think it might have even surprised Maddie White.
I have been so impressed with Sydney Missimo today, and what we didn't see is how much time she had to take this shot. She had time to receive this ball from the throw-in off of her chest, take a couple of dribbles, and then set herself up for an incredible shot on goal. You mentioned it caught Maddie White off guard because she had so much time to make a decision. Certainly a important player for this offense, and certainly the player that's had my attention for much of this game to this point, Josh.
A goal and 3 assists this season for Sydney Missimo. Land O'Lakes, Florida native, just a bit outside of Tampa. Played for Denise Schulte-Brown at USF. Her 3 assists lead the team. It's tied for third in all of USL Super League. So final 30 minutes here, Haley. What does each side need to do here in the final 30 to get the full 3 points. Remember, Tampa Bay, if they can pull off this comeback and earn the 3 points, they'll pull within a tie for second with Dallas in the league table. Dallas creates a little more separation between a jam-packed second through fifth.
Well, and I think for Dallas, you have to get back to your game plan. You know, we really haven't seen them, at least to this point in the second, we haven't really seen them be able to utilize those wide channels. It just seems like Tampa Bay has been, you know, controlling so much of the possession in the midfield that they just haven't had a chance to settle in. So I'd like to see them maybe get a little bit better of a handle on the possession there and, you know, send those balls from the wide channels. And if you're Tampa Bay, as cliche as it sounds, keep doing what you're doing. They have been in this game from the opening whistle, even though they conceded so early in this match, and yet they never gave up. They gave this crowd certainly something to maybe be silent about when they got that equalizer. We got a chance to see the mascot Boots up there for Dallas. I love Boots, man. Both of these mascots, Tampa Bay introducing Soleil as well.
I love the bio for Soleil and the game notes for Tampa Bay. We'll get to it after this corner. Good service in, header on, diving stop made by Orcus.
Heads up save from Ashley Orcus there, making the diving save.
Soleil, her position is listed as forever teammate.
I love that she got a bio in the game notes.
A stylized lizard with bright colors. Forever teammate.
Obsessed. Hashtag no notes.
Nacello goes down, earns the foul. It'll be a free kick from that spot. They elect to go quickly. Giamona. Light touch inside, looking for go-ins, and White came out to meet it. So here's what the USL Super League table looks like at the moment with the current results if they hold. So Carolina leading Lexington 2-0 at the moment. And so at the moment they are in a tie with Dallas for that second spot. Of course, the top four make the playoffs, and Tampa Bay, again, if this result holds, would pull within a tie for that fourth spot.
You know, as we've watched this season, you know, the fall portion of the season anyway, you know, come to fruition, it was interesting to see how these teams were just pinging and ponging all across the standings. I remember a time midway through the fall slate when Tampa Bay was, Fort Lauderdale was looking at the bottom half, and now they come into this weekend sitting in third after getting that draw last week. So I say all that to say that the margins in this league are so small because the competition size is so small, again, in terms of the number of teams that you're facing week in and week out.
And I'll tell you one thing. Brooklyn is certainly content to let them all fight it out beneath them. Hinson out in front, nobody home, and then it trickles off of her arm, I think, while she was on the ground. One of the better buildups that Dallas has had, but again, that final third just not there for them.
And it's hard with Sierra Hinson. She's such a valuable player for Dallas in the attack, not for her scoring necessarily, but she's typically the holding forward up there. She's kind of the player that they feed the ball to. She's really good. She's really strong, I should say, on the ball, able to use her body to hold off defenders there, and she's a great distributor as well. So I think that ball falling to her feet, maybe she was a little unprepared to take the shot because she's so much more interested, I'd say, in dishing that ball out.
See Hinson's numbers, a goal, 2 assists in her 11 games coming into tonight. Dallas wanted a handball, they don't get it. It's Nacello.
I think they should have gotten it.
Nice tackle there. Throw in coming for Tampa Bay. Celie Strawn. Talked about her earlier. Graduates from high school in 2026. She'll head to North Carolina for her collegiate career, but is really honing her game now at the pro level before she even graduates high school.
I can't even imagine the advantage of coming into, you know, a college career as a freshman and you've already got more experience than 90% of the roster, you know, that you're going to be playing against, especially at a program like UNC, who we know is just a powerhouse of women's college soccer. So certainly a welcomed addition there.
Think about the maturity it takes as well for a player in high school, a person in high school who's still a year away from graduating. Goins didn't find anybody there. So Dallas can retreat. Don't miss out, Dallas Trinity FC fans. The next home match at the Cotton Bowl is coming up next Saturday against Spokane Zephyr FC. Scan the QR code for tickets or send an email to tickets@DallasTrinityFC.com to get your group out to the pitch. Josh Appel, Haley Sutton with you, 66th minute. Goal 4 minutes in from Lexi Missimo. A goal 5 minutes into the second half by Parker Goins. Couple of newcomers. Goins in her second match. Missimo in her debut. Making an impact early.
You know, Josh, something we didn't have a chance really to talk about because there's been so much action end to end here is the missing of Sam Meza on the pitch. I know we talked a little bit about it earlier, her going back to the Seattle Reign, but you know, really a lot of the things that they're missing right now, I think, came because Sam was such a great creator on the ball. You know, she held on to that attacking midfield / holding midfield spot so well for Dallas. And I think she was their field general. She's just really good at distributing the ball. When she gets in front of a net, she's able, you know, to score if the option is given to her. But I think right now what you're seeing is maybe, you know, you're missing out on just that consistent presence in the midfield.
So who are you looking for to kind of take over that role?
Well, honestly, Lexi Missimo just gave me all the confidence in the world that she can step up and be that goal scorer. But I think, too, when you look at players like Sierra Hinson, she's a player who's got a lot of experience, also played at Texas. I know they didn't cross over between her and Missimo, but she's a player that I think really needs to step up. I mentioned her being that holding target player up there. I'd like to see her be a little bit more involved. Ubagagu is a name that we really haven't had a chance to mention all that much, too, but she's so athletic and so fast on the outside and so accurate when she's serving in balls. We've seen her on the corner kicks as this game has gone on, but she's very good individually. I'd like to see her show off some of that individual flair.
Here's a corner for Dallas. Good service in, but well defended so far by Tampa. Flick on, cleared away. Oxdaughter tried to work it out of there and finally gets the clear. Abaddon had a big chance there as well. Had the shot blocked.
She's been a great substitution stepping in for Davison. Maybe not the defensive replacement that we were initially expecting, but she's really slid into that almost holding defensive midfield role. And she's got a lot of touches on the ball. You saw there just that little flick that challenged on the net. But I think just some of those little movements have been inspiring if you're Pauline McDonald, knowing that if a big player, a big name like Hannah Davison steps out and you don't have a defender to replace her immediately, you feel confident knowing that you can stick another player in there and maybe not get the same position out of her, but still get production.
They get a look at her there. Davison, hopefully for Dallas's sake, nothing too serious. She's already dealing with a nick on her leg. Marcelo played it back to her keeper Orcus, who just sends it over the touchline, and Marcelo looks a bit frustrated at that. Couple of substitutions coming for Dallas here in the 70th minute. Allie Thornton, who assisted on the goal by Missimo in the 4th minute, exits, and Tamara Bolt enters and makes her Dallas debut on loan from Washington Spirit through the remainder of the season, along with Abaddon. And also coming in, Lucy Shepard. She replaces Celie Strawn. Shepard, a Hofstra alum, hoping to provide a spark here in the final 20 minutes for Dallas. Don't forget, every Wednesday, listen to USL Super League Game Week, a deep dive into all things Super League with hosts Marion Crowder and Anna Whitty. Follow along all season long on the SiriusXM app. Those two do a phenomenal job. Of course, you can hear them right here on Peacock calling a number of the games throughout the league this season. Temperatures dropping a bit in Dallas tonight. Wind is howling. Missimo tried to one-touch it to the outside, but couldn't get it to her target. Now it's Nasello with some space. Nasello accelerates. That's a throw-in for Tampa Bay. Nasello along the touchline. Hendrick slides it across.
And it looks almost like Pauline McDonald has shifted her formation just a little bit. It looks like she sent Tamara Bolt to kind of be her high player, although now I'm kind of seeing her drop back into the space, so maybe I'm missing that. But it almost seems like they're trying to put a few more players into the midfield there, maybe try to create some more chances and feed, maybe using the speed of Tamara Bolt. I know her nickname comes from Usain Bolt as well, so maybe trying to lean into that a little bit on the attack.
Corner for Tampa Bay. It's low. It's dangerous. It's out of harm's way for Dallas.
And it's a great corner. I love going with the driven ball across the box, especially when you're dealing with the wind. It just has so much power. All you have to do is redirect it. That's what Parker Goins does, just opens up her hips and puts it on frame.
Another corner. Hawksdaughter, one chip in, and Brooks stepped in front of it and cleared it away.
Denise Schulte-Brown in her bag a little bit there on the corner kicks, trying to mix things up.
Gotta be creative sometimes on the road, especially in an environment like this. Too strong of a touch by Zaid, and it's a corner. For it's a goal kick for Dallas.
And it's interesting for Dallas because we talked about the home field advantage that they get by playing at the Cotton Bowl. They don't lose very often. They do draw. I believe they have 3 draws on the season when it comes to playing at home. But I think this team just has felt a little bit out of sync today. That opening goal, I think, really energized us. But even you see here, dribbling in front of your box, probably not the best idea to do when you've got 3 of the top goal scorers in the league on the opposition there.
Nasello, Hawksdaughter. And that's out of the reach of Zaid. A couple of substitutions coming for Tampa Bay. Jackie Simpson will enter for Zaid. And Jade Moore. Jade Moore will come on as well. And Andrea Hawksdaughter will exit for Tampa Bay. Hawksdaughter will report for international duty with Iceland in a couple of days.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tampa substitution in the 73rd minute. Entering the pitch.
Hawksdaughter, as we highlighted earlier, one of 13 international call-ups from Super League rosters, which is very impressive and great for the league.
It's growing the game, and that's the biggest. You know, I've always been a proponent of the women's game, particularly on the pitch, you know, given my experience in playing, and I think it's just been so cool over the last even 5 years to see the growth of the sport, both inside the Super League. We've seen massive growth in the NWSL. We've seen massive growth, you know, worldwide with the Premier League and some of the other women's leagues across the country. So certainly been fun to watch and just to see how it develops.
Ubagagu almost with a little nutmeg there.
I told you, she's capable. it's hard with Ubagagu as well, because typically when you're a player that plays on the outside, you're known for your crossing ability, right? Your fearlessness for going one-on-one and be able to play those dangerous balls into the box. But I think Ubagagu's secret weapon that's not so secret if you watch her film is she's very technical on the ball, just little teeny touches, nothing that's too big. You won't see her, spinning 5 or so different moves trying to get out of a situation. But she's very crafty sometimes when it comes to her dribbling abilities and her one-on-one opportunities.
A Stanford alum, but you look at where she spent part of her pro career. Tottenham Hotspur, has appeared for the English national team, 3 seasons with Real Madrid, 4 seasons in NWSL. She is a well-seasoned vet at some of the highest levels around the world. Now she's bringing that experience to Dallas Trinity FC.
Well, and just think about how much that advances your game as a player, right? Because England soccer isn't the same as American soccer, and it's not the same as, if you're playing all the other places that a lot of these players have played in. And I think that's what really makes it special is being able to know that, your skill set is crossing the ball. And maybe in one of Ubagagu's stops, she had a coach that told her, you need to be a little bit more technical. And, you get some of those experiences as you travel through your career.
Carly Giamona just picked up a yellow. Another delay, earning a yellow. It's the 3rd combined, 2 for Dallas, 1 for Tampa Bay, all for delaying the game, which is so interesting. We've seen a lot of physical plays today, none that have drawn a yellow, but those delay of game yellows have been issued pretty liberally here tonight.
Listen, Irina knows that she wants this game to keep it moving. She's very clearly tapping her watch, making sure we're keeping this on schedule.
Dallas trying to build up. Ubagagu cuts to the middle. Nearly got her pass on target, but it was cleared away by Tampa.
And that's just a little glimpse of what Ubagagu can do on the ball. Her field vision and her ability to pick out those passes. That's not an easy pass to see through that Tampa Bay back line. Just a diagonal ball to set them up. Really special stuff.
Rolls all the way in on Maddie White. 78th minute. Down the left side, a race for it, and this will be a goal kick for Orcus. Stay up to date with the USL Super League. Sign up for the Super League newsletter. Get news about your favorite team and stories from around the league delivered directly to your inbox weekly. Sign up at uslsuperleague.com/newsletter. Josh Rappel, Haley Sutton with you. Time winding down here at the Cotton Bowl. 3rd meeting of the season between Tampa Bay and Dallas. A win for Dallas, a draw in the other game. We see some late game dramatics here at the Cotton Bowl tonight. If you're just joining us, Lexi Missimo, a goal in her debut, 4 minutes in. And then Parker Goins, her first with Tampa Bay in the 50th minute, just 5 minutes into the second half. That's been the scoring so far. Early tallies, and then things kind of settle down after that in both halves. A couple of extra huge points on the line for Tampa Bay as well. They can pull even for second place. Great recovery by Ubagagu there. Looked like something could have been developing for Tampa Bay. It was Haugen who was streaking in, but Ubagagu recovered well.
Kind of an accidental pass there from Giamona. It hit the back of her leg. I don't hit her in stride as she was trying to make that run. It ended up working out well. But to your point, I'm going to keep gushing about Ubagagu because in addition to her ability to be an offensive threat, that was her dropping all the way in the back to make the defensive save as well, too. So, again, it just goes back to all that experience you have when you're a player who's racked up as many miles as she has on the pitch. You sort of know in certain situations that you have to be the person to help keep the score what it is.
Nobody home for that ball. It's chased down by Brooks. Watched closely by Goins. Now it's Julia Dorsey.
And you get a good opportunity to see Dallas sort of stretching that formation. They're really holding their defense rather to a back two as opposed to having the three that they started the game with, and they've shifted much more bodies inside the midfield. I think it's kind of combating Tampa Bay, because when we started this game, Tampa Bay overloaded almost the middle of the field, which gave them the advantages a lot of times in the possession and in the 1v1 attack. So now you kind of see Dallas almost not shrinking the field, but I guess compacting it.
Henson's cross was blocked. She gets it right back. Tries it again, and waiting for it, Ashley Orcus. Dallas Trinity FC fans want the inside scoop. Sign up for the Dallas Trinity FC newsletter to receive the latest news, merchandise, promotions, and exclusive updates. Scan the QR code now to join.
Some nice Dallas merchandise out in the crowd there. Some nice hoodies.
Listro finds Haugen. Bit disjointed there. It kind of fizzles out. Dallas on it now.
And this is where Dallas has to take advantage. That build-up in the middle of the field is just taking too long. So you saw on that counterattack, they actually had numbers, but because the pass was so slow to get there, it allowed Tampa Bay to come back and recover.
Jackie Simpson, USF alum, played for Denise Schulte Brown. Second half sub. Whistled for the foul back behind the play. So free kick from that spot coming for Dallas in the 82nd minute.
And this will be interesting when it comes to a set piece, something we talked about early in this game. Dallas typically scores most of its goals inside the box. What did we say, 21-2 is the separation there. And so now when you get a dangerous set piece in an area like this, as we see Parker Goins maybe taking a moment to stretch out the clock. We've seen as this game has gone on. Normally you see this kind of stretching when it's warm outside. The muscles are tired and you just need a little stretch out.
Parker Goins is the player down for Tampa Bay. She's one of the goal scorers along with Lexi Missimo there. And we've talked about Lexi Missimo and all of her accolades coming up as a youth player in Texas. Committed as a 7th grader, program leader in goals and every other category, and then a massive welcome to Dallas Trinity in late January. And she is someone that they hope can really energize the fan base. And a great way to do that is her start to her professional career, as you see all the categories she leads the Texas Longhorns women's soccer program in.
I mean, 56 goals and 66 assists. Those are some all-star numbers, and it's not easy to always get on the stat sheet, right? In the collegiate ranks. It's very impressive what Missimo brings to this Dallas roster.
She had offers to go pro with Arsenal or Man City out of high school. As that free kick rolls over the goal line for a goal kick. And how about this? Put together the first and only 20-goal, 20-assist season in Texas Longhorns history.
Not to brag on myself, but my highest scoring season was 6 goals in one season. So obviously you can tell just how high of a level she plays at, really in front of net. If she gets any opportunities, it is certainly a dangerous chance for Dallas.
That's a 6 goals. It's a great season.
Not
Very
bad,
productive.
right? I mean,
Hey, not a lot can say they scored 6 in a full career, let alone a season.
It's fair.
There you go.
Still hold the record for the fastest goal scored at North Texas, so that is something that I am hoping holds for a few more years.
Yeah, when I played soccer as a little 5 and 6 year old, I was the one who was playing with the dirt
in the grass
and not paying attention to the game. So you got me beat there. Here's Goins. Slides one in, and gobbled up by Maddie White. 85th minute, 1-1 our score.
Love the decision from Parker Goins there to slot that ball in. And one of the things that I've seen in the Super League that's maybe not as prevalent in the college ranks is the Super League players like those driven balls, right? We see a lot in the college rank, these big floated balls that are sort of floated into the box or they're floated across the field. In Super League and in the professional ranks, you see a lot more of those balls where players are playing them through their laces as opposed to the lofted balls that you use with the inside of your foot. It just gives a little bit more direction to the ball, so when you have your attacking players running in, all you have to do is get a little teeny touch on it as opposed to it being this big orchestra in front of net. So it's interesting to see Tampa Bay really leaning into that in the dying minutes of this game.
Dallas trying to work some home magic here in the final moments. Ubagagu, long range, but handled easily by Orcus.
A little bit of tension there between Sydney Nacello and new substitution who came on, and Jackie Simpson, excuse me. Maybe a little bit of miscommunication there.
College teammates.
It's good to have someone to keep you accountable in those moments. I'm not sure what they were discussing.
Dallas takes away possession again.
And see, here's the problem for Dallas, right? You're asking what they can do to get involved. Ubagagu's got the ball on her feet with 4 or 5 seconds. She's calling for players to make runs, and you look and you see at the top line there for Dallas, and there's 4 players all standing in a row. It's very stagnant up there. There's not a lot of movement that we've seen, and you know, when you're trying to attack and score goals, you need crossing runs, you need overlapping runs, you need darting runs across the defense.
So that's more of what Dallas is doing to themselves as opposed to maybe what Tampa Bay is limiting them to.
Yeah, I think Tampa has done a good job in their formation, again, of just loading up the areas where Dallas is, so it's causing a little bit of congestion. But yeah, to your point, it goes back to that rust conversation, right? There is a little bit of rust. There is a little bit of chemistry that they're still needing to be built. Soccer is all about a game of runs. I know we say that a lot in basketball, but most of the work you're doing as a soccer player is off the ball. You're trying to create chances, changes of speed, changes of direction. It's what makes you difficult to defend against. And so for Dallas, there's really just not been a lot of that offensive creativity that we got so used to seeing last season. I will say, though, at the beginning of the Super League, I think it was kind of reminiscent of this for Dallas, where it just took them a minute to settle into their game plan. But Pauline McDonald does a really good job of adjusting on the fly.
Goins, the goal scorer. Nacello weaves towards the middle. Has to be chased down by Haugen. Floated into the area. Giamona didn't get it probably where she wanted it to go, right at Maddie White, and she handled it.
Yeah, she saw that ball just come down a little slower off her chest. She saw the pressure around her and knew she had to get it off of her foot quickly. And because of that, she wasn't able to get the contact she wanted on the finish.
Player down momentarily for Tampa Bay here in the 89th minute.
I love watching Denise Schulte-Brown interact with her players. We've kind of seen the entire spectrum today. Of course, we saw that interaction with Paige when she was taken off in the first half, and you know, Denise kind of had to put her in her place there a minute and you know, get things back on track. You see the loving interaction that we just saw between her and Carly Giamona as we still wait for the injury to be settled on the field. But I love,
probably. Yeah.
Looks like it's just cramps. Yeah, I love talking to these coaches when we have these meetings. It's just so clear. Both of these ladies, in Pauline and Denise, have such a passion for the game and really growing the game too. So it's just always fun to see them get their flowers.
So we're likely in for a decent bit of added time. Got a couple of stoppages here late. After that little delay, we'll see a goal kick from Maddie White.
And I'll be curious to see how much stoppage time we get here, particularly because just 1 week ago, I don't know if you remember, we saw Tampa Bay take advantage of the stoppage time and find the equalizer in that moment in the last minute of the game. Wouldn't it be something to see them find a game winner maybe in stoppage time? I mean, you wouldn't be able to really write up a better start to the season for Tampa Bay unless that other game, you know, falls in a win as opposed to a draw. But very exciting time here.
Nasello now down for Tampa Bay, but she's able to get back up relatively quickly.
Just a physical challenge there. Nothing really to it in terms of the foul. But it is a physical game out there. It's been physical all day, despite all of the yellow cards being for time wasting.
So 4 minutes of stoppage time. That might be a yellow. There's the first one, not for time wasting. Yeah, right on cue.
Yeah, and that one was, it was a given, right? You can't pull a player down mid-play there. You just got to be able to utilize the tackle. But it is Vivienne Bissett getting the yellow card. Honestly, I'm okay with it. I think in this moment, you're looking at the clock. There's 4 minutes left. You had a streaking Lexi Missimo on the back left side there making an open run. I think maybe if you don't make that tackle, you've got an opportunity for Dallas to go up. So you don't ever want to get a card necessarily, but sometimes there's moments where you just have to make a choice as a defender.
So free kick from distance for Dallas. Sent into the area, but no harm for Tampa Bay, easily handled by Orcus. The inaugural USL Super League season has officially begun here in the spring. Visit USLSuperLeague.com for all the latest information, analysis, and insight into all things Super League. If this score holds, Haley, and we can circle back to this at the end as well, but if you're Dallas, you open up the spring season here at home, you jump out to an early 1-0 lead, but if this score holds, you end up in a draw. What do you think the feeling is in that room about this performance?
For Dallas or for Tampa?
For Dallas.
I think you're disappointed if you're Dallas. You know, there's a lot of pomp and circumstance about this being the start to the new season. You know, you have fans out here supporting you. And I mean, I know, yes, a loss is the worst result you can get, but honestly, sometimes draws feel worse too because, you know, like you didn't get anything out of it. So I think you're frustrated that this ends in a 1-1 draw if that result does hold. But you're also encouraged. There's a lot of really good things that we've seen. We've seen a lot of these players, you know, making an impact in their debuts. I don't know why I'm struggling to say her name this late in the slate here, but Lexi Missimo, clearly that was a special and encouraging performance from her today too. So good and bad, I would say.
So Parker Goins, the goal scorer for Tampa Bay, will exit. And Ashley Clark will enter for her. So Goins came in for Flint, and now Clark in for Goins.
Schulte Brown maybe trying to find another complement to Flo Nielsen and Carly Giamona up there up top. We know Natasha Flint can be so effective, but Parker Goins was a nice surprise today to see her get on the score sheet.
Ubagagu tried to cross one in. Haugen got in the way of it. Missimo to toss in. Haugen applying good pressure there on Dorsey, who gets around the edge, and let's see, that is going to be a throw-in for Tampa Bay. Waiting for the full-time whistle, Marina Petrunak. The seconds tick away. Out of the reach of Giamona, took a bad deflection. Let's see if Nasello can get there, and she can. Nasello, watched by Ubagagu. Nasello, the cross, deflects. And Dallas cleared it away for the moment.
Great move by Hinson.
And there is the full-time whistle. This one ends in a 1-1 draw. Dallas earns a point to open up the spring season. Back-to-back draws for Tampa Bay in their first 2 matches, but a massive one here on the road after falling behind early.
Listen, for Tampa Bay, this is an incredible result because you're able to once again prove that a deficit is not the problem for you. I think the next step for that is then finding the game winner in terms of getting on the score sheet there. But still an encouraging performance from either of these teams. Excited to see them match up again later this season when things have kind of settled in and the chemistry's been built.
These 2 teams have played 3 times. They've now drawn twice. Missimo, the goal scorer for Dallas. Goins, the goal scorer for Tampa Bay. Back with more from the Cotton Bowl after this. Can you hear me? You got us in the studio? Yep. The fireworks are going off post-game here at the Cotton Bowl after a 1-1 draw between Dallas and Tampa Bay. Josh Appel, Haley Sutton with you. Pleased to be joined now by Tampa Bay's goal scorer tonight, Parker Goins. And Parker, this is your second match with Tampa Bay. You get on the score sheet early in the second half. But I'm just curious, you know, after you guys fell down 1-0 in the first 5 minutes, what was the mood on the bench? What was the message like for you guys in order to, you know, be able to battle back?
Yeah, I think hopefully you can hear me.
We got you.
Okay.
Are they good fireworks at least?
The message was just, yeah, there's a lot going on. It was basically just stay compact, transition when we can, you know, connect that first pass, and then when we're in front of the goal, just start shooting.
Parker, this is the second week in a row where we've seen you guys dig deep and find the equalizer, and you're just the one to do it today. What is it about the resiliency of this team, never giving up, always being a threat in games, even in situations like you faced today?
Yeah, I know this is the only second game I've been here, but we are quite a resilient team. I'm really looking forward for the rest of the season and like learning off of them because, you know, we went down and we fought hard to come back and we got a point from this game. We wanted 3 points, but a point will do for now.
Parker Goins, the goal scorer tonight in her second appearance with Tampa Bay Sun FC. Parker, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at our full match highlights. And I got underway. The fireworks got underway early. Lexi Missimo on the delivery from Ali Thornton. 4 minutes into her pro career, finds the back of the net.
Yeah, she wasted no time being the star we all expected her to be. We showed her college stats, over 50 goals scored in her collegiate career. This one, nothing new for her. 1v1, picks her corner, beats Ashley Orcas back of the net. The celebration with her former Texas teammate, if you will, getting excited to celebrate with her.
And then after that, Dallas really couldn't put much together. That was really the closest they came to scoring again. It was the almost own goal that deflected off the crossbar.
Yeah, they just struggled to really settle into this match, and Tampa Bay really woke up in the second. It all started with this beautiful ball from Carly Giamona. She gets it back and plays a brilliant ball in for Parker Goins, who we just spoke to. Right place, right time, tucking it in the back of the net. But this was a big moment for Tampa Bay. This really set the tone for the rest of the second half, and Dallas just really unable to ever settle back into the match. Sydney DeCello, another opportunity there where she makes the Dallas goalkeeper really work for the save. Maddie White having to make the big save. So I think ultimately this game ended 1-1. Both teams with great opportunities going forward in this game. But like Parker mentioned, 1 point apiece.
Full-time stats, 8 shots to 6 in favor of Tampa Bay. The possession numbers feel a lot more even, look a lot more even than it felt like. It felt like Tampa Bay dominated possession through the majority of this match, but as you look, pretty even for both sides.
Yeah, it was dead even. This is kind of what we've seen to expect from these two teams whenever they meet. I think Tampa Bay getting the nod in the possession makes a little bit more sense. They just really controlled the middle portion of the field in this game.
And our up to the minute standings in USL Super League. Now a tie for second between Dallas and Carolina. Carolina still up 2-0 on Lexington. Tampa Bay now leapfrogs Fort Lauderdale. They're deadlocked with 21 points apiece, but Tampa Bay has that 4th spot.
It's certainly interesting when you take a look at it. I mentioned just how much these teams and these standings sort of jostle as the season goes on, and it really makes that phrase, one game at a time, really relevant, right? That's typically coaches speak when we hear coaches say that, but week in and week out, this league is so competitive. So shout out to Tampa Bay for battling in this one, putting themselves in playoff position.
Well, that'll do it for us here from the Cotton Bowl in Dallas tonight. An exciting one between Dallas and Tampa Bay to get things going in the spring season. For Haley Sutton, Emma Watson, our producer, and our entire crew, this is Josh Appel saying so long from the Cotton Bowl. Once again, our final score, Dallas Trinity FC 1 and Tampa Bay Sun FC 1. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll talk to you next time.